I'm so excited about this today. We've got
Yay!
a beautiful guest. Isn't she stunning? So just FYI, everyone, this is the wonderful Michelle from Aussie Biz Chic. My first experience with you and your business was I actually used to have a business membership. We would have like these monthly coaching calls, and like quite a few times people would be so excited because they'd be on the calls and they'd be like, oh, my subscription box has arrived. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, I've got this subscription box. And it happened like a few times on the calls, and they would like do like an
Oh,
unboxing. I don't think I actually
really?
told you this.
You haven't told me this. No.
Yeah, they would do an unboxing on these calls and like pull all the stuff out, and they'd be so excited about the books. And I was like, gosh, what a smart idea, because I know at the time I hadn't, like, we'd seen subscription boxes, but I hadn't really seen anyone do anything like this. And that is really what you do. You have Aussie Biz Chic, you have these beautiful subscription boxes, and I'm blown away with your customer retention, your online brand presence, the consistency. And I think like I love when you share behind the scenes, because I'm like, I think in a world, and you've probably witnessed this, in a world where people can just have an Instagram account and they can show up and say, we've made $1 million. Like, you've got the freaking warehouse. Like, you can see that you're successful. So
Yeah, the warehouse is so messy though.
That's okay. We're not judging. We're not judging.
Oh, good.
About that. So when did you start? When did you start your business? And with the subscription box, was that the first product that you sold, or was there something else before that?
Okay, so surprise, surprise. Like when COVID hit, and even just before that, me and my partner, Luke, were thinking about, we really wanted to start a business. We were listening to all these podcasts and YouTube videos, and, you know, they kept saying the only way to make money or to become like, have a bit more free time was to start a business. And so we were kind of thinking, oh, what business ideas could we start? And actually, I had just started a coconut bowl business before Aussie Biz Chic, and that didn't work out. And then I was going to do a home decor kind of drop shipping business. That didn't work out because during COVID, getting things from China or overseas was impossible. So there was no way to do drop shipping. And then I saw a subscription box in America that was for entrepreneurs. And with this subscription box, it's very unlikely you're going to get competition from overseas because the shipping is astronomical, right? So it's like, there's nothing like this in Australia. So I wanted to create a down under version, and I absolutely love reading and I love books. And when I got into the entrepreneur space, when I was trying to start my other businesses, I loved the community aspect of it. People were so nice and friendly, especially the female entrepreneur space, I have to say. And so I was like, this is the perfect idea for me to kind of do and put my own spin on it. So we actually added the online learning hub. So that was completely new to us, and adding that in because I really wanted to help others grow their business, but also myself. Like, because I was new too, this was going to help me. And so that's kind of where it came about. And that one really hit it off. And I was lucky for that to hit it off. And I learned from all my mistakes with the other two businesses. And yeah, that's how Aussie Biz Chic came around and came to be. And now I'm so grateful for all my members. It's amazing.
So what year was that? Was that 2020 or 2021?
I think we started at the end of 2020. I think it was, is that when COVID hit? Oh my God, that's like ages ago now.
So COVID, it was like, I think in Australia, I think for us, it was like February, March is when stuff just
so that was literally, like starting to do it because I was working a corporate marketing job and they were like, you can work from home. And I was like, cool. So I did a bit of a sneaky, and like half the day I would work on Aussie Biz Chic, and then the other half I'd actually work on my real corporate job I had. So that was I was lucky in that regard to kind of have a bit more spare time to work on the business versus working my 9 to 5.
It's so interesting that you say that, because that's really when I started like Professional Babe 2.0. So I think it was in January. And then I was so lucky that I got JobKeeper, and I'm like, oh, awesome. I can be supported by this.
Yes.
And then I can like invest into my business without kind of having like the stress and the pressure of like really needing to make it work.
Yes, I understand. Yes. And you know what? People say, like, I think timing is really, really important as well. I feel like right now it is a little bit harder to start a business. It's not impossible. Like if you've got something really amazing and great to offer, then absolutely. But I feel like I definitely started in that e-commerce boom, and I've been lucky to keep that stability throughout, you know, the market at this time.
Yeah. Because the thing is, it's so funny that you did like a physical product in COVID, which is, I think, I'm going to say it's quite bold because you think about everything that was happening with shipping delays and you were just like, nah, this feels so good. Were you ever stressed about like stock or postage or having to deal with like, because it's not like you just buy 10 of something, you buy thousands. And I know I was watching one of your reels the other day where you were talking about, I think it was like the $9,000, like, I don't know if it was a mistake, but it was like a delayed shipment. And I think you had to buy
Oh,
like,
yeah. So that actually in the beginning, when you talk about the Post shipping, we actually ended up delivering boxes ourselves. So
what?
yeah. This is when we first started. So we didn't have 1,000 members, but we were delivering boxes around Melbourne. I would literally have the box go up to the door and be like, knock, 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 and then like drop the box and then go back in the car and then text them because I had their numbers from the order. I was like, hello, I just dropped off your Aussie Biz Chic box. So yeah, I did it all. We did it all on our own at the start with the shipping because we couldn't trust Post to get boxes to people. Especially in Melbourne, because Melbourne was like more locked down than everybody else. Do you remember that? It was like
We are worst
so
lockdown in the
strict.
world.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, stuff it. I'm just gonna do it myself. If you're gonna do something, do it yourself. And then yeah, for the delayed product. So yeah, we ordered 1,000 of, I can't remember, I think there were maybe desk vacuums, or I can't remember exactly what the product was. But we paid for that, all the product. So that was about like 6,000 or 5,000 or something like that. And it didn't get to us in time because we have to pack boxes and send them out to people at a time in the month. That's what we've agreed with the customer. And so we're like, oh shit, these aren't going to get here in time. So we had to spend another like 6,000 for another product to get delivered here quick to us and be able to pack that. And that was a local Melbourne business. So that worked out really well. But it really hurt the cash flow because with us, it's like the renewals come in and that's technically how we pay for that month's box. So it's kind of like managing that cash flow. Lucky we have a good cash float. I always recommend that in business, any product-based business, have that good cash in hand just in case anything like that happens, that you've still got cash in hand to be able to make up for any errors that happen like that.
Yeah, that's such a good tip. It's so funny you said that you were driving the boxes around because I didn't know that. Were most of your members then from Melbourne?
Yes, most people were
Yeah.
from Melbourne and Sydney,
Yeah.
but Melbourne was the worst in terms of getting boxes to people just because
Okay.
Ozpost was so delayed here in Melbourne. So
Yeah.
that was why I was just like, I might as well just deliver these myself. At the moment, most of our members are actually up in Queensland, like near that area.
So, like with your first box or your first couple of boxes, do you remember how many members you had?
Yes. So my first, I like to call it my founding members launch. So these are members who got ever the first box. I had 40 or 35,
Yeah.
35 to 40 members in my first month.
And how did you get them? Like, how were they people that had come from like the previous businesses? Were they like part of your circle? Were there people that you were like, I have no idea who this person is?
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, I just started the Instagram, and at the time, Instagram hadn't really gone ham on their reels yet. So that was kind of during that time. And I was just kind of doing the olden day of if somebody followed me, then I would message them and be like, hey, I've got this coming out. What's your email? And I could put you on the wait list. Like I was really hustling. Like every new follower, I would message them to get their email because email is really important. And I just had a landing page. And then we also did a giveaway and we put ads to that giveaway where we got like hundreds of emails. So that was good for that. And then I just launched to that wait list. So it took me about 3 months to like build the box, first box. And with these people, it was a pre-order. So I actually didn't send them a box straight away. Their first box was like 2 months later. But the thing is, they helped me create that first box. I sent them surveys and I was like, what products would you like? Or what are you struggling most with? And we can make this like the first box. And so I kind of really tried to do that community-based vibe and feel. So it's not just a box with products because nobody's going to stay for just products. You really got to make the experience 100%. Like we actually have an idea that we just bought some samples is, when you walk into Crown and it's got that beautiful smell and it just feels so luxurious. I'm like, why don't we do that for our box? Let's get a scent and make people, when they open it, it's like that beautiful scent and it hits them with that scent. Because when I've had candles in the box, I always get so many messages with people like, oh my God, it smelled so beautiful this month. It really added to the experience. I was like, let's just actually do that all the time. So it's all about that unboxing experience.
I don't think people realize how much like that influences you. And I love that you consider that because, you know, I think for you, this isn't just like, oh, we're just going to do this to get some cash. Like it's something that you really consider with, you know, the consumer, and you even bring this up continually with like community.
Yeah, like I think what's really important these days, especially, I don't know if you heard the news, but, you know, Booktopia, it's an online bookseller,
Yeah.
they're having troubles over there. And I was like, it's because you're kind of competing with the likes of Amazon, right? So what's different that you could do that Amazon can't do, or somebody who's really big in your industry can't do? And that's kind of that niche community feel. And I think more and more these days, people want to feel connected to other people. Like when you think about Netflix or something, right? It's like, how does Netflix connect people together? You all talk about the same shows at the water cooler. What connects Aussie Biz Chic together? You've all read the same book at the same time, or you're all starting your business at the same time and you can talk about it. So I definitely feel that community aspect is what's going to set our smaller businesses apart from those behemoth businesses that have eons and eons of cash to spend on their marketing, right? But what can you do that's more like person to person? That's what I feel anyway. And that's my kind of take on what I'm seeing right now in the market, because you've got like influencers and content creators building their own personal brands to sell products because they've created that relationship with their followers. And I think that's really important.
One thing I love as well, like when you brought up about how when people read a book and how they kind of bond. It's funny that we would see that. I would see that on the membership calls when people would do that unboxing and they're like, oh, I wanted to read that. I want to read that book. And they would be kind of so excited to experience it together because then they could kind of have these beautiful like joint reflections. But something that I think that you do so well, and this is so smart, is you regularly, because you have the online component of the business as well, where you've got the masterclasses, and you had, I know at the time, I think the box that you had that was coming out had Erin Deering's book, so Hanging by a Thread, and you got her to come in and present.
I can't believe I did, to be honest. Like I was so shocked. She was like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, cool. Okay.
That is incredible. And I think an experience where like to read a book and to look at a business and be like, I'm obsessed with this business owner, or I look up to them, or I love their path. And then to be able to see them present is such an incredible opportunity and experience that you are then able to give your community, that I'm like, well, of course you have an incredible community, because you don't just give them the box and you're like, great, see you next month. You really consider, I think, their experience with the box, and you're like, how can we make this the best experience where it doesn't just end with the products that they've gotten, it's all of the other things that are included with that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing as well is, especially if you run any sort of subscription box or something like that, is there can be a bit of time in between, you know, boxes. So I felt like the Q&A session and the masterclasses kind of happens like in between, just to reinvigorate the membership and being like, this is also happening in the month. You don't have to wait an entire month for your next box. Or if you, I know I'm a quick reader, like I will read a book in 2-3 days because I'm insane. And, you know, I'm always on YouTube or doing like an online course. I love online courses. And like that just kind of so there's no waiting time. So it's kind of like there's still things to do if you want to do them. And the Q&A with the authors are really, really popular as well. I think because you've read the book and now you get to see the author online and in an intimate setting as well. Like you're asking them questions where you might not be able to in kind of a big speaker session, you know, where she's talking to tens of thousands of people, whereas this is very intimate and you can ask her questions. And she was very lovely as well. Like, and she's got a new business coming as well. She's going to do a fashion line, and we got some tidbits of that and like a sneak peek. And I was like, oh my God, are we allowed to hear this? This is cool. Like, so that was really awesome. And the other thing I actually wanted to say as well, like kind of with the engagement community, we have a really good rewards program. So when somebody reaches their 12th month, we send them this beautiful gold shiny box. So you only get that if you become a 12-month member, and I write like their name on a personalized note. And then again, that kind of reinvigorates the experience because, you know, people might get bored with like doing the same thing every month. How can you reinvigorate that as well? And so that rewards program has done so well for us. I was like, I read that out of a book called Contagious that gave me the idea, kind of like the Qantas Club. How can you do that for your business? So I was like, that is such a good idea. So that's how we did the rewards program too, which I think works really well.
So with the like author Q&As and the masterclasses, you know, when did you say you started this? It was like about mid 2021. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah. I feel like I should know.
That's
My
okay.
partner will be good at that.
Yeah, Luke is on the ball. I've been emailing Luke like quite a bit about a couple things and he is just like on it.
I'm like not very good at admin. So he does all my admin because I'm just kind of in la la land sometimes.
You're the vision.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, you're the vision. Yeah, I think it's beautiful that you have a partnership that then he brings a completely different skill set. Because I think too often, and I see this with people where they try to hire themselves in a partnership, and I'm like, no, you need like polarity. You need someone that's going to complement you that has, I think, skills and attributes that you don't have. So it's so nice that you can kind of stay in this like visionary mindset, and then he can come in and be like structured, analytical, admin, numbers guy.
Yeah, do all the boring stuff. No, I'm kidding. That's not boring, but it's boring to me. But he loves it. He freaking loves it. And he's like, I got a new spreadsheet. Do you want to see my spreadsheet I did? I'm like, sure, okay. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, it's so funny how I totally agree with you. I feel like people make the mistake, they hire them, but that's not what you need. You need somebody to kind of be like a little bit of a devil's advocate as well. Sometimes when I have an idea, Luke will always push back and go, okay, what about this? And what about this? And asking questions that I might not have actually thought of and thought through. So I also agree with you because I've done the mistake of hiring somebody that is basically like me, and then I realized no work gets done. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm organized, but sometimes I need reminding of things, like other things that don't kind of are getting me inspired. And if I hire that other person who's done that, like it's just not going to gel. It's just going to gel right. I've done that mistake. I think people have to make that mistake and then they realize, okay, that's not the person for us in the business, move on.
Yeah. And I think that's such a good point. I think often in business, we try to not make mistakes thinking that's how you have a successful business, where it's like, no, you're always going to have challenges. And I think it was Gary V who said you have to like, what was it? Like you have to be able to hire people, but then you have to be able to let them go. And it's like a mistake to the business. Like he said, you can hire someone and make a mistake with a hire, but the biggest mistake that you're actually going to make is actually keeping that person. I think sometimes it's almost like a little internship in business. You have to go through that stuff, experience it, and then you're like, oh my gosh, that moment was so helpful for the business and like what I'm going through now. And as you said with hiring, it's like, you know, was that like early on in your business where you had those hiring, well, I don't want to call them mistakes.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, when was this?
This was only like last year. And by the way, I just want to say like the people I did hire, they are very talented people. It just wasn't the cost of their work just wasn't the return on value. So the return on cost just wasn't there because I think like also you have to think it might not work for your business, but it could work for like another person's business because they've done amazing things for other businesses, but it just didn't work for our business. So I think and that's what I always say to people. It's like, you know, when you listen to coaches or you go on a YouTube video or do a course, it's like sometimes you have to tweak it for your business because maybe what works for them might not work for you and you might have to tweak it a bit. And so with the new hire though, I always, and even in my old corporate job, when I was hiring people into our team, in my old corporate job, I always like to give at least 6 months or like at least to onboard them and try and get them on board. What are the goals set? So at least you know, like, okay, if they're not meeting those targets or they're not meeting those goals, how can I change it a bit? But then again, if it's still not working, yeah, you do have to kind of make that tough decision. And I hate confrontation and I hate doing stuff like that. And you overthink it though, because at the end of the day, it's like they know too. They know as well that it's not working. So it's like kind of a mutual agreement. This is kind of hiring in terms of like contractors or like things like that. Hiring is one of the hardest things in business because sometimes you want to hire somebody who also gels with your personality. Because imagine hiring somebody who doesn't gel with your personality and it's awkward as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, that's also a layer as well. So it's hiring is a hard one. Like we we've got a VA who calls up members if they have trouble with payment, and she's basically the accounts receivable? And she's lovely and she gets along well with the company. She's got a good return on value. So that's a good plus. We've had her for like a year now. Oh, the Zoom has just gone like fireworks if anybody's listening, because I did a thumbs up.
I was like, what? What?
Yay. So I've had good hires and I've had like ones that haven't worked out,
Yeah.
but that's okay.
It's so funny you say that, because I've had hires before where we've just kind of like ceased the relationship, and I've said to them, and I think this is one of the hardest things in business, where you need to make business decisions like a business and take emotion out of
it.
things. So, I've let people go where I'm like, look, we're at a stage where when I hired you, I thought we were going in this direction, and now we're actually going here, and we're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, it's nothing about you. But I'm like, I know that you're going to get frustrated because I don't have this work, and I'm going to want you to do something else that you actually don't want to do. And it's so funny that I'm like, I still refer to her, and it's like, not that she's bad. It's just like, oh, we kind of just can't, like, we've had to make a business decision for the sake of the business, really.
Yeah. And, even like this year or last year, I've just heard a lot of companies let go a lot of staff and employees as well, just to save up on operational costs. And like, that's just like unlucky sometimes, you know what I mean? So I feel like if you can find that good gem of a person though, it's like you've got to keep. The other thing I realized as well about hiring is you need to get somebody on vision with you, because nobody's going to be as passionate about your business more than you. So you kind of have to think about, how can I get somebody to be as passionate, or at least really believe in the vision of our business, because then it's like they have that drive to want to achieve things in your business and things like that. I'm learning more and more about how to get people on board with things, and it's just so interesting because it's such like a different, like another layer of business that you have to think about later on when you need help in your business. And it's just like crazy dealing with people, like managing people, and that's a whole other job in itself.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I think a lot of the time we think, oh, if we just had more money, then we can outsource this. And it's like, yes and no, because you're now bringing another person like into the mix. It's like you have this person in your like business relationship that's going to have problems. You're going to need to have, like, I love when you said having that 6-month onboarding process, because I think sometimes we can make the mistake of thinking, I know my business so intimately that I'm going to bring someone in, and it's like they haven't been there since that start date where this was just like a seed of an idea.
Yes, exactly. And it's like you're thinking, wait, why don't they know this? But it's like, oh wait, yeah, they wouldn't know this. It's all up here. You've got to get it down onto paper. Because the thing as well with our customer service rep, what we did is we got a platform called Zendesk, and we literally wrote every single question that we get from members, what the answer is. So that way our customer rep basically, okay, this person's asked this question. Let me go into that library of like questions and answers, and she could just copy the answer to that question. It's like, how can you make it super easy for somebody to come on board and know exactly what to do? That's the hard part. How can you do that?
I think the thing is, you very much have been like involved in your business, that you know the workings of your business. You really, I think, have like a customer centered approach, where when you're doing all this, that's like who you're really thinking of. And I think when there's a lot of heart in a business, it's so easy for you to be like, oh, we know that they're going to have all of these questions, because you think about it, you've considered the customer like every single step of the way. So it's not like you're like, well, I don't know what they're thinking, because you design your business based on your customer.
Yeah. And, in the beginning, I would survey everybody on the email list all the time. I used Typeform, and I just want to know more and more about them. And so the more you can learn about your customer, the better off your product is going to be, because you can tailor it to the customer. And a lot of people just kind of guess what their customer wants, but just ask them, do a survey to the email list, or put like a little question in their product and be like, can you just email me your answer to this question? Like, just ask them, and they would appreciate that you're asking for their feedback. The other thing I like to do is go back through all my reviews on Google. and look at what are the words that people use, and you can actually use that for your marketing. So a lot of people kept using, this is so motivating for me, like this is so motivating, oh, this keeps me motivated. And so, or like this keeps me really productive, this keeps me so productive. And so when I did content for an ad, my first hook word was get productive in your business. And that ad has made me over like $15,000, $20,000. And I still use that ad today. Like I'm still going with that ad. And that's just from reading back over the reviews. What are the words that people keep saying? And then use those words in your marketing, on your website, etc.
I love that because I love that you brought up your Google reviews, because I like went on a bit of a Google stalk this week looking at everything that you've ever done. So I feel like I could write your next biography. You have like 200 plus Google reviews.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you do anything?
You've got to prompt your customers because
Yeah.
otherwise they forget. Like they just forget.
Yes.
So I always say I have a members welcome email series.
You love this.
And
we love this.
Yes. So after a few days where I know they'd get their box, that email automatically goes out and says, and it's just a text-based email. There's no images, nothing. It's just text-based because I find those have a better open rate and click rate. And I'm just like, hi, it's Michelle, co-founder of Aussie Biz Chic. I'm just coming in today. If you loved your box, I hope you've had time to join the Learning Hub. If you could leave us a review, that would be so great. And I just link them straight to the Google review. Like I just make it so easy to leave a review of the business.
With the welcome flow, what else is in that? Like how, and has it evolved over time? Of course, I'm going to ask this because you know I love an email question.
Well, yes, we're having you on our class as well, email marketing as well, if
so
anybody
excited.
doesn't know that on here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that has definitely evolved over time. So right now it goes, when they sign up, it gets an email straight away where it talks about the renewal date, when you get your box. There's an email that goes how to join the Learning Hub. I should bring it up. I've got like 10 emails in this series. So also it's like introducing your packers. So introducing the team, meet the team, the review. We also do a prepay. So I like to be like, if you want to prepay, I send that email out as well. These are all, 2 days or 4 days apart. The other one I have is why we started Aussie Biz Chic. Like get them emotionally invested in the business as well, and that there's people behind this business, and we're not just like any big business. We're actually a team, and the other thing is like, if you have a question, this is our customer service line. Email us. We're right here to help you. What else do I have? The review one. I got quite a few in there, but it goes for like a month. I think that welcome series.
Because you've got, so with your subscription boxes, they really have an option of how they purchase, don't they? Like they can buy a standalone box or they can go in a subscription.
6 or 12 month. Yes, correct.
Okay, perfect. And if they buy like a 6 or 12 month, does that sequence go longer? Or like what do you do then for like customer retention as say they're approaching that like box 5 and box 6?
So I will always send out just ad hoc member newsletters.
Yeah.
So once a week, members will always get a newsletter with what's happening, like what's coming up in the month, get them excited for the book. So I still treat them like I would treat a new sale, like letting them know what's upcoming, getting them hyped up for the class. I feel like a lot of people forget, like somebody will buy and then people just leave, like stop communicating with them, or you know what I mean? Like don't do that. Keep communicating with them. So I still send out ad hoc newsletter emails to my list once a week at least, because people appreciate being kept in the loop. Keep that conversation alive with your members. And, I still do specific member sales as well. So end of financial year sales that are just for members. Members get a bigger discount than somebody who's not a member on the shop. Do you know what I mean? So I always think about them first and how can I make the experience better for them, not just from the box, but as you said, through email.
I think that's so smart. It's something I see all the time when like banks will do like any kind of like ads and they'll say, we're giving an introductory interest rate of like 2% if you're brand new to us. And I'm thinking this is so interesting that they're so focused on getting new people instead of the customers that are going to be giving the customers, sorry, that have been giving them money. Because the thing is, I'm like, that's an ad going out. Like they're spending that where it would be so much cheaper and smarter for them as a business to just keep the relationships with the people that they have
Oh,
instead of feeling like
absolutely.
we need new people.
But that's why people hop, right? Like if you read The Barefoot Investor, like even we've done it, it's like people hop between electricity providers because it's like, okay, this one's giving me X% off my first year or something like that. I'm going to cancel this one, go to that one. And then you can cancel that one and go back to another one when they've got another introductory offer.
I have a whole thing where and I say this to clients all the time, you never want to piss off the people that are giving you money.
Oh, yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's your reputation. And this is something where like when we'll do a sale, I'm like, I don't want people that have just bought to feel like they've been disadvantaged compared to brand new people. Like if you're a customer, I want to really look after you, because the thing is, it's like they're going to be the best spokesperson for your business. Like, as I said, I witnessed this with my clients talking about your boxes and how excited they were to receive that. And it's like that testimonial is incredible because, like, yes, an ad is amazing at getting in front of new people. But I know for me, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I have 3 clients on this call that are both like the 3 of them have got this box. I want to check out this business.
Hmm. Yeah, like word of mouth actually is so underrated at the moment. I
Yeah.
think like people are so focused on going viral on social media, but really think about how you could get people referring you in private in like, when they're at home or when they do go to networking events or when they do go on a call. I think that's so underrated at the moment. Like everybody's just so obsessed with going viral on like social media, but like how do you go viral through word of mouth, like in the back end? Get a referral program up and running, like then they can refer and get rewarded for referring people as well. The customer's going to be your best spokesperson and they're going to get you real customers who because when you're talking to somebody about a product and it's face to face and they've personally used it and they love it, how much more likely are you to buy it versus looking at somebody on Instagram or TikTok and they're shouting out a product? You don't know what's real anymore on like TikTok or Instagram and influencers because they get paid to share a product now. So it's so much more valuable talking to somebody one-on-one who's a friend or a family or a coworker versus an influencer.
I know we spoke briefly at the start about like, issues with like stock and cash flow. What have been, do you think, like your growth challenges? Because, you started with 34, 37 boxes.
Yeah, 35, yep.
And now you're at 1,000 plus a month.
Yes.
What was probably the biggest challenge from going from 35 to 1,000?
I'd say the biggest challenge was definitely cash. So
Yes.
needing cash because how it works is, right, you need to spend money on marketing to get sales, but you have to spend the money first before getting the sales. So it's kind of like you're spending money, but you might not necessarily get the sale yet. And especially with products as well, you are paying for products in advance to come over. And that was really hard because 35 to 50 products was okay cash flow wise. But then when you're spending up to like 2,000 to, and even books will cost us $10,000 to $15,000, you really have to be smart about how you break that up. So some suppliers will be like, oh, can you give us 50%? And we're like, oh, we can't really do 50% right now. Can we do 10%, then another 20? So always negotiate with the supplier. Like I feel like some people just be like, okay, cool. But just try and negotiate and see if you can break up those payments, especially if you're a product-based business. And also work with the same suppliers if you can multiple times, because then you build that trust with the relationship. And then sometimes you can do credit terms. So this is a really big one that helped us in our business with the cash flow. Credit terms. So if you have a supplier that can offer credit terms, what that means is you can actually get the product and then not pay for the product till 30 or 60 days later, which then gives you time to sell it, right? And then you get the cash and then you can pay your supplier. So if you can ask if your supplier has credit terms, because that really helped us with the cash flow, still does now. And we also use credit cards. We use American Express. We have a NAB one as well because some companies don't do American Express. But you have to be careful. You have to be on top of your credit card if you're not. And you need to be making those sales. That's the thing. So you need to ensure that your marketing is getting you sales before you start getting into debt with your credit cards. Because then you might not be able to pay it back. So it's really, really important. And then the other big challenge was probably like we were in this is our upstairs office. We used to pack in here, and then we were packing in the garage, and then we had to go out and find a warehouse, which is like tough. Like sometimes it's tough finding the right size, but we were very lucky because Luke's father, it runs a logistics company and he has a warehouse. So we were able to sublease half of the warehouse there. So subleasing is good too for warehousing. So that means like there might be multiple businesses using that warehouse and you can have like a portion of that, which will save you money instead of just getting a warehouse for yourself, like all on your own. You can sublease and share with other businesses. That can save you some money as well. And then I think the biggest thing as well is just kind of that like mindset.
I was going to say, I think especially when you don't make just $50 decisions, you make thousands and like huge monetary
It's so
decisions.
scary. Yeah.
And I was going to say, how do you manage your mindset with that? Because I think for a lot of people, making those big financial commitments, knowing that, what if every member just decides that they're going to cancel their next box? Like, how do you cope with that? Like, do you have strategies in place? You said that you're led by your intuition.
You know what? When you run a subscription, you are always going to get churn. You are always going to get churned. And, with my course students, somebody will come to me like, oh, one person canceled. And it's like, it's okay. Like one person canceled, but you've still got, 55 that are still around. So it's okay. You never know what somebody's going through. And maybe they just don't like the subscription, but that's okay. Not everybody is going to love your product. And that was a big mindset thing for me because I try my hardest to make the perfect box, but sometimes like somebody just didn't like the book that month and it's like, okay, what books do you like? Tell me so I can like make it better. So always get feedback from those people because I feel like with the subscription, you are having that relationship and then when somebody isn't happy in the relationship, you are so sad. So I had to get that mindset right and go, how can I make this a positive thing? I know I'm going to learn from them and get their feedback to make it better. So that's the one thing I definitely had to work on and still working on till this day. I don't think you ever stop working on your mindset. And then intuition, I've been super into lately. I know people find it delulu, but like I genuinely think like if I don't follow my intuition, sometimes I just burn out or I just don't agree with like what I'm doing in the business. And like Luke, he's a lot less emotional than I am and he's kind of just very straightforward. Whereas I really have to like feel like this is right for me and what I'm doing is right for me. Otherwise, I hate what I'm doing and I'm not going to do it. That's the kind of person I am. And I'm reading books about intuition now and just working with your intuition to be happy in your business. I know some people find it delulu, but honestly, I think it works for me. What about you? Do you like follow your intuition and all that?
Yeah, 100%. I think you kind of have to have logic and then intuition.
Yes,
like you have
a combination of both.
Yeah, like for me, I'll get like a really good gut feeling. Like it's so funny. After my lunch and learn event, there were a few people that were like, oh, you would make so much money if you had like all these clients and you did their emails. And I'm like, absolutely not. And they're like, but you make all this money. And it's so funny. For me, I tend to just get this like, it's almost like a gut feeling where I'm like, bad. If this is a bad move, a bad direction to head in. And they're like, but you're saying no to money. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to say no to myself. Like if I'm feeling this, I have to honor that. And, you hear business people all the time that talk about this, where they're like guided by, a feeling or a gut response or something like that, where they're like, no, I just knew that this was a good idea. And I think one of the best skills that you can learn is to just start to listen to that. In like
Absolutely.
the smallest ways. Like even with your content where if you're like, oh, I'm going to put a reel out and then you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's like, if you can practice in small ways, I don't know if you found this, but this has helped me. I will practice in small ways. So then when I have to go and make a big decision, it's like I have all this data that it's like, well, I'm going to trust myself. And even if this doesn't like work out, I know that I probably was meant to do this for whatever reason, but right now it's not unfolding, but it will in the future.
100%. And the whole thing about kind of chasing money, and this is something I really learned as well, is that more money doesn't necessarily bring joy, at least to me, joy to my life. I'm like a personality type INFJ, where it's like I need to like a little bit more philosophical and need it to work it around my views and my goals in life. And like, for example, I used to definitely do more like course marketing and like one-on-ones, but it just wasn't vibing with me that much. And that's just who I am. And it makes you a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, like the course stuff and stuff. That's why more and more people are doing it. But I love doing the Aussie Biz Chic and like the products and like the books. That aligns more with me, and I'd rather do that versus chasing money all the time. Like if you're chasing money all the time, you forget how to live your like what's happy in your life and stuff like that. So that's my view of it. You were saying that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like there's more to life than just chasing money and feeling like you're a slave to money. I think that's really important. Like, don't be a slave to money.
And the thing is, it still will work out. And I think your business is a beautiful example of you have really high standards in that regard. And that's something that's so important to you. And yeah, I think you can be an expander for a lot of people where you're like, I run my business this way and I'm so successful because of that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I love YouTube because I like the idea of creating the videos and then just putting it out there. Then you can just watch it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I like doing that. I like that creative element of teaching versus straight up just teaching. Again, this is just me. Everybody is so different. But yeah, I just love Aussie Biz Chic because I feel like it's not necessarily people aren't buying it because of me. They're buying it because they generally love the product and how it makes them feel and the books. And so that's what I like too, that it's not just all about me. I hate attention on me, believe it or not. I hate it. Like my wedding is coming up soon and I'm dreading it because I don't want people freaking looking at me all the time. It's all about me. And I hated being all about me, which is surprising because I know some people are like, but you seem so extroverted and you do all these like reels and you do all these YouTube videos. Like, no, I'm so introverted. Like going to that networking event, I was so scared. I was
Were you
like,
really?
oh, yeah.
Oh my God, I never would have guessed.
Yeah, nobody guessed. I was like, oh my gosh, a networking event. Okay. Because sometimes you're like, what if you can't gel with people? But usually I overthink that. And again, I'm always working on my mindset about that. Like, stop overthinking, Michelle. It's going to be fine.
It's always fine. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always fine. It's always going to work out. Well, I've loved this. You are a powerhouse, and I've loved spending my morning with you, although it's on
Yay.
Zoom. I feel it's so funny at times. I feel selfish because I'm like going to get off the Zoom and my day is going to be infinitely better because I feel like I've kind of have your beautiful energy.
Yay.
And you've just given everyone so many incredible tips.
I hope so.
Oh my gosh, 100%. Where can they find you? How can they work with you? How can they give you money?
Well, you could go to aussiebizchic.com.au and you can subscribe to the box if you'd like. But you can also follow me on Instagram if you want to start your own subscription box. I have a YouTube, we can watch free videos, or I have a course that goes through everything about launching a subscription box. But otherwise, yeah, send me a DM on Instagram, Aussie Biz Chic. Say hello. Let me know if you like the episode.
Oh my gosh, they're going to love it. They're going to love it. I was going to say,
Yay.
every single episode of the podcast, I do this thing. I don't even know how it started, where I'll say something like, I love you more than how incredible this water tastes. It can be like, it's ridiculous, but we do like 3. Okay. And I would love to know yours. So it's like, I love you more than, and if you had, say, like a really good breakfast, I love you more than the delicious breakfast that I had today. And then you have to say like what the breakfast was.
As in like,
anything you want. Like, what are you loving at the moment?
What am I loving at the moment? Is it wrong to say I'm loving the House of the Dragon TV show more than you? Is that a thing?
Well, I didn't even know that was a thing, but sure, exactly. You can go with that. The more ridiculous, the better. Like so you love more than, what is it? You love everyone more than, what is it? House of Dragon?
House of the Dragon. Okay. Yeah. There's freaking dragons in it. It's from a book. Like, I love you more than that. That's you guys are way more better than those.
Okay, you got 2 more to go.
2 more. I love you more than, you know what? I always use this water bottle with the timestamps on it. I love this so much. It's my baby. I love you more than my water bottle with timestamps on it. And, I know. I mean, this is kind of silly, but if you're a video creator, like your tripod,
Oh yeah.
right? And this one even like goes overhead. Okay, you can't see it, but like it like folds and then you can fold it over. Of course, it's not working for me now, but this is how I do the boxes. But I love you more than my tripod that I use every single day.
Oh my gosh, I love that. They were perfect. So claps for that. That was so good.
Was that good?
Yeah, that was fantastic. No, that was perfect. I feel like I threw you in the deep end there because I never want to prep people with it. I'm just like, no, I'm just going to ask you like on the spot because I don't want it to be too like, you know how when Vogue does those walkthroughs with like the 20 questions?
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, no.
That's so scripted.
Yeah, I'm like, I want unscripted. I want unfiltered. So that was 10 out of 10 perfection.
Okay. I was just looking around my desk. I'm like, what can I say?
You are incredible. Thank you so much. I know that everyone is going to love this episode and get so much out of it. Stay incredible, and I can't wait to watch everything unfold for you. And I can't wait for our masterclass as well.
Yes, I'll see you soon. Very soon.
I'll see you soon. Well, thank you so much.
Bye.